right into it. If anyone has any questions as I go throughout, don't hesitate to stop me. I like to make things very interactive. Any thoughts that pop in your mind, and then I have some general questions and stuff that are typically asked that may pop up some ideas in others' minds. So the main thing that I'll really be focused on and talking about is going to be digital transformation. And I know that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For me and for my company, which actually, let me start back. My company, I own what's called ATX, the brand, or ATX Web Designs is what it's known for. My headquarters is here in Austin, Texas. Our main focus, just in general, is going to be websites, mobile apps, and we do digital marketing as well. But our objective with every single client that we have, every project that we work on, is to generate more revenue than what they already have. If they're a startup, then that process, of course, is going to be to begin generating revenue for them. Now, back to when I'm talking about digital transformation, businesses in almost every industry, especially from the pandemic, has had to rethink and reevaluate their entire business model, let alone what they're doing online. It doesn't matter if it's an e-commerce, if it's a company that goes to trade show events, B2B, B2C, you name it. We work with a variety of them, especially franchises and multi-locations, and they've all had to rethink these processes. And so what I like to really put in people's minds is that you have to go through a holistic reimagining of what your company is, but digitally. Now, this is different things. Some of these things people are very familiar with. Some of them are not. So one of the main things is going to be a website, of course. I call it the 24/7 salesman, the 24/7 salesperson. If you have a website, or if you don't have a website, especially in 2021, and it's not up to par, or if you're saying it's not generating me visitors, leads, and things like that, then you're behind. And so that's one of the main things you want to do. And then even if you are generating business from it, what tools can be placed inside of it to make things easier, to actually be better on your bottom line, and narrow down to what's going to make it a lot easier for you with automation and things of that sort. Other things that it includes are going to be things around social media, even word of mouth. I do believe in word of mouth. I do believe in referrals still. I love those myself. But those people that you send there, or those people that are there, they still go to what's going back to your website. They would talk about automation, Google ranking online, etc. There's a lot of different things, but each one of these, what I call tools in your toolbox, they apply to each individual specifically. Now, the first thing that I actually talk about is something that everyone can relate to or visually see, is going to be TAC. So the TAC.org website, my company went in and not just changed the visual of it, we put a lot of automation within the process. I wanted to help out Charles and Matt as much as I could, and they had processes in terms of memberships and what that looked like. So what we did is, I'll kind of give everyone an overview. We went and we looked at everything that was going on, not just from an online perspective, but internally. Once we understood those problems, then we could come with a digital solution. I say a digital solution because we want to try to put as much online to make it easier for them as possible. So of course, as I mentioned, you can visually see the process, visually see the design of the website and a lot of things that we made changes to, but we also made it simple enough that they can maintain and go through and update the website themselves. And then there's also a back end of this that we haven't launched yet, but we're going to have a process to where we can actually connect all of the chambers in the state of Texas. And with connecting all of the chambers in the state of Texas, we'll also be able to go through and connect all of your members as well. One of the most powerful things that can take place within a chamber is connection with members, but also members all throughout the state. There's different partnerships that can take place, there's different referrals that can take place, and business that can be worked with one another through that. Now, our process with that is we want to make it digital, especially since 2021, people are still, 2020, should I say, people are still a little bit hesitant to be in large groups per se, right? When you typically have chamber meetings and things like that. So we've created a portal to where you'll be able to connect with other members. You will be able to see the industry that they're in, where they're located at, and then information such as like a LinkedIn that's connected as well, so that you can connect with these different members and just help business in that way. So
Hey,
there's just,
Daniel,
yes.
How soon will that take place? It sounds exciting, connecting chambers to chambers and members to members.
Mm-hmm.
How soon you think that will take place?
So we already have it. We already have it actually created and done. I'm going to be talking to Charles. We're looking to actually launch that out here pretty soon. Ideally, at the beginning of 2022, if possible, it'd be nice to have it before that. But everyone will definitely be getting information in regards to that once it's launched out. We want to put that into the hands of the chambers and the members as soon as possible.
Hey, Daniel, one other question, just a general question. I oftentimes hear people say, I can't wait till I go back in person. And I'm going, we haven't even touched the limit on virtual interaction. Why do you think people are so eager to go back personally and not using the digital media?
I think it's two things. The first one I would say is that it's what you're used to. When it comes to chambers, most people are very used to meeting in person. Honestly, I'm a very personable person. I like shaking hands. I like human to human interaction. But when you talk about business from the perspective of trying to get as much done as possible, virtual and digital is definitely going to be the way to go. And that's going to be the way that you can connect with more people and do more business in general.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
It sure did. It just boggles me because the virtual world gives so many advantages.
Yes.
It's very beneficial. In fact, it helps increase your bottom line.
Very true.
So,
Very true.
So I'm a big advocate of using that system or virtual or digital as much as you can.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'll kind of touch on that point to keep this conversation going a little bit. When you talk about virtual or digital, because all of these things touch into a digital transformation, increasing your bottom line, and then majority of people are still basing their business off of referrals. Like I said, that's not a bad thing, but you still have to have a digital aspect to it. And then the main thing is that many small businesses, they don't know the actual strategy and the things to do to generate traffic and visitors to their website to get that business. So say for instance, it can be someone in the real estate market versus someone that just owns a general brick and mortar. We went through the process, which I work with the real estate a lot. We went through the process to where it's a real estate person that does a lot of personal branding. They put a lot of stuff on social media, etc. One thing that I narrowed down, I'll give specifically to a person that I work with. She was a real estate agent. She started up a real estate business, had a broker and everything. She was doing very well with word of mouth, but it was very time consuming for her, right? And time is money. So how many more people can I reach in a less amount of time, right? Well, your website and everything that you have online is 24/7, 365. It doesn't need to take any breaks. It doesn't need any lunch, vacations, or anything like that. It's always there. So the process that I went with her was keep doing what you're doing in terms of personal branding, and you're bringing a lot of attention to yourself, but you need to direct that attention to your website. So then you can funnel in your different audiences to where they need to be to contact you on a professional level. What I meant by that was she would put up information from different homes she had available, etc. On her website, it was, okay, are you looking for a family home? Are you looking for a specific type of school district? Are you looking for the crime rate in the area? Different details like that. You can give that information on social media, but when someone wants to actually research and make a decision, that's what's going to gravitate them in to her and say, okay, she has this valuable information on her website. The content and information that goes with it is great. Let me contact her. And even with the contact form, I'm breaking down simple things, but I want to give specifics to it as we're going through. So the funnel part is you've generated traffic, you got them to your website. The information you have on it and the way that you present it visually draws them in. I'm a family person. I have a wife. We have 2 kids. We're looking to move in a suburban area. We're looking for a good elementary school. You can search for these things on her site. They're interested. When they contact her, we even get specifics with the contact information. It's not just name, email, phone number, and send a message. It's name, email, phone number, and it's just things that you can select in terms of places you're looking to possibly stay. So maybe they don't have a home right there listed, but they can go find a place for them. So it's a lot more personable, and you drive these people in. And once that email is sent, our client received it, the real estate agent, she received it. But then there's also an automated email that lets that person know that sent it, that we received it. We'll be contacting you soon. If there's a better time for you, you can click this link and book a call. And I don't know how many people have like a Calendly and things like that, but it made it very automated. So she could reach more people in less time and book a lot of calls with it. Is there a question from anyone? Looked like someone wanted to.
Yeah, this is, excuse me, Tim Gassoy,
Uh-huh.
Amarillo area, Black Chamber of Commerce. Um, I missed the first part of your conversation, and we are, you know, a fairly new chamber, and we are trying to be as digital as possible.
Uh-huh.
So I would love to have you take a look at our site and see if we're going in the right direction. We have it's database. We have a database in the back of it, and we're trying to run membership through that as much as possible. But you got to get up to speed with it, and
Definitely.
there's so yeah, if we could, if that's something you would take a look at, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I have taken a look at, I probably have seen it, but I've taken a look at just about all of the chamber sites here in Texas. And one of the main things that I'll mention to you as well, we can look at it and see if it's going in the right direction. One of the things you're talking about, go as digital as possible. This also opens up a whole new audience for you all. What I mean by that is, of course, as you know, entrepreneurship is a lot more praised now than it has been in the past. And so a lot more younger entrepreneurs are coming aboard. Now, if I'm gonna be very transparent with you, most of these younger people, when they think of a chamber, they don't think of it as being digital. They don't think of it as being modern. So we actually want to put you all in a position to where that mindset shifts and changes, which is one of the reasons we created that portal I mentioned about earlier, that we're going to connect all of the chambers so that we can bring in an entirely new audience that's going to be extremely engaged with everything that's going on, and it's going to be digital. So it's something that they're used to.
Sure.
Question for you, Daniel.
Uh-huh.
And I think you may have touched on it briefly. As far as the digital divide is concerned, what would you say are the most pressing issues that Black business owners find themselves in as far as the resources that they need to help them facilitate the growth of their businesses? Would you say that's time? Would you say that's finances, or the operational capacity to do so?
I would kind of say the first two. I think it would be time and it would be finances. Well, let me put it like this. I would say these three things: time, finances, and the knowledge of it. I won't necessarily say resources, but I will say the knowledge of it. Technology moves fast. Most of the time in a Black community, and in terms of a technology perspective, from business, we are behind. But at the same time, it's not, we're behind because we don't have those resources in our face all the time. That's what I mean. So I live in Austin area. I grew up in Southeast Texas, south of Houston, but I live in the Austin area. It is tech. So you see it a lot more. But there's some areas and some places that don't, right? If you own a brick and mortar, and we'll just kind of take very current circumstances. If you've had a brick and mortar and you've seen a dramatic decrease in regards to traffic inside of your store, purchases and things like that, then that's a huge issue. And the thing is, well, how do I fix this? Most of us really don't know the way to fix it, except for like, I gotta talk to more people, get more referrals. I'll put stuff on social media because I have that in my hand all the time. But you have to come up with a very strategic approach. And honestly, this strategic approach has to apply towards every single kind of business. But with Black businesses, what I'll specifically say that if you have something like a brick and mortar and you have inventory within your store, you need to look at also the process of taking this inventory and putting it online as well. Because so many more people are purchasing online. I don't know where everyone lives at, but I mean, I see an Amazon truck, FedEx trucks, and UPS trucks come down my street all the time. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I see it all the time. So you have to look at ways that you can put this stuff online, make sure that you can still make profit from it, but get that process going, because this is now the new normal. People aren't going to begin going more in stores, more, etc. It's not because of fear as much anymore, but it's convenience. If I can sit back and I can order something online, then that's what I'll do. Now, the difference is that if you have a store that sells whatever it may be, and it's a brick and mortar, and whatever you sell, Amazon may sell. But if I can purchase it from you and you live 5 miles and your storefront is 5 miles down the road from me, and you have something online so I can make that purchase, majority of people are going to support you in that local area versus getting it on Amazon. And we set up the exact same process with that. What I mean by that is you can go on, you can make the purchase. It's automated to where you receive the purchase. If you set up a deal with like a UPS or FedEx to where you can go and mail them off quickly, and we help you with that process of understanding, okay, these are the products I have on sale, these are the pricing for it, this is the shipping rates. Once the purchase goes through, you receive it, they receive an automated email in returns in regards to their receipt, etc., and then you move forward. I know I gave a brick and mortar as a very specific example, but with the Black community got hit the most with the pandemic, and it was a lot of people that had brick and mortars. And so I just wanted to give a very specific example with that. But understanding and gaining more knowledge of the digital aspect and getting started on it. You've got to, nothing's going to change at this point in terms of going back to how it was. So you have to make that leap and get started. I hope that, did they answer your question, Corey?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most definitely. Did anyone else have any questions for right now? So I'll hop really quick on a common question I get, and this is kind of something that's floating with a few of the questions I've gotten already. And I'll read this specifically. What do I need to do to get more revenue in my business right now and generate business online? Kind of paraphrase that. So this is a very broad question, but I'll break it down into different phases so everyone can understand. And this doesn't matter if you're thinking about it in terms of your chamber, your personal business, even if it's something that you do on the side and it's a side hustle. I really want to break this down for everyone so that you can get an understanding perspective of how this will bring you and generate you in more money. So the first thing is understand the industry that you're in. If you sell e-commerce, forget about having a storefront or anything like that, but you sell e-commerce or strictly online, or if you are in real estate, or if you do consulting or something like that. These are all different industries. These are all different audiences that you have to capture. So the first thing you need to think about is who's going to be my target audience and what's this demographic? What's the general age range? If you have any business, I don't care if you've done a little bit or if you've done a lot, you can at least think about it and say, okay, I have about this age range, 24 to 40, 35 to 50, whatever it may be. Once you understand who that audience is and you write these things down, now you can go and you can actually look at the tools and your tools in a digital toolbox that can apply to them. Okay, if this audience is teenagers up to about 23, I'll use that. I have a really great friend who owns a concert promotions company, and he all throughout the state of Texas. And his demographic is about 16 to about 23, 24. His approach to them is completely different if you're somebody like a real estate agent, because your demographic is going to be different. So the channels that you have to reach them on can even be the same, but the way that you present to them is going to be different. So the way that you present from the, these 16 to 23-year-olds is very fast paced, lots of content, lots of graphics and information. That's what draws in their attention. Now, if you're talking about real estate and you focus on someone that's looking for homes and a place to live that's family oriented, those same things won't apply to them. You can use the same channel like an Instagram or like a Facebook, but the information that you present has to be catered to that audience. Now I'll go past this point because honestly, a lot of people already do this. And they're like, well, I'm still not getting anyone in. Now, that's one thing. With your business, especially something that's actual business is going, I'm not necessarily talking about a side hustle here. Google ranking is going to be one of the most powerful things for you. And I say that because people could go on Facebook groups or put a Facebook message on and say, hey, I'm looking for recommendations for X, Y, and Z. But I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times, they're still going to get on their phone and they're going to Google search for whatever it is that they're looking for, a product or a service. Now, this is how Google works. If you say, I'm looking for, we'll go with, since Corey said he's from DeSoto, I'm looking for a home in the DeSoto area. They may Google search 4-bedroom home in the DeSoto area. Now, the information that pops up there is the things that they're going to go and look at. Everyone's Googled before. So you're going to see that map. You're going to see about 3 to 5 businesses on that map. Below that, you're going to see different links that you can click and go to different websites. Now, real estate is extremely competitive with that. But majority of businesses in a local area, when you rank on that first page of Google results, that is a lot of traffic that you're going to get. And it pushes it wherever your location is, it's going to push that. What you Google search on your phone or on your laptop is going to search in your general area first. That is one of the most powerful things that you can have within your business and generate that traffic to your website. Now, that's one part. Once you get the traffic, once you get the people's attention, and then you drive that traffic to where you want them to go, which is going to be your website. Now, the website part, we want to make sure, of course, the display of it. You've got to have something that's just like visually appealing. It doesn't have to have all of the bells and whistles with it, but it needs to look at least decently professional. That's the best way that I'll put it. You have to have that. And I'll say this because it's just like when you meet someone or talk to someone and they say, a first impression means everything. It's the exact same thing when it comes to it. Because what you have to understand as well is that you're not the only business that they're looking at. They're going to look at your business, and they're also going to look at looking at someone else's as well. So if I go and look at yours and what I visually see and what's displayed, and it's dramatically better than the competitors, then I'm going to be gravitated more to this business's site and information that they have. It's going to make me read into it more. Now, once they get to your site, you visually attract them, you got them to your site. The next part that's going to come with that is that you have to be able to convert them, meaning you have to take them from the page that they land on to contacting you. The information that you put on there. Look, I'm going to be very specific. You got to make sure you don't have misspelled words. You got to make sure that the content is properly aligned. All of these things speak a level of professionalism that's going to put you above competition. I mention these things because this isn't just small businesses. We work with Fortune companies. We work with franchises as well. We're talking about people that's made 8, 9 figures in Fortune companies. Some of them are hundreds of millions, even billions. There will be information on it that's inaccurate, that's outdated, misspelled words, etc. Now, what happens with that is business is going really good for a good period of time. So you kind of ignore that. You don't pay attention to it. But then all of a sudden, now everyone has to go digital. So a lot more people are paying attention to what you have online versus what you don't, what you have online versus in the past. So you want to make sure that presentation is right, and you want to funnel them in by identifying the audience. We're going to go back to what I mentioned at first, your target audience. So if I'm a real estate agent, who's your audience as a real estate agent? Do you like to go towards people looking for families? Is it mostly going to be just like a married couple or a single person, and they're more looking for a condo spot and things like that? Who is your target audience? When you understand that, you actually give places on your site for them. So when you go to the site, it's like, okay, it's a real estate agent, and she mostly caters to these families. But when someone comes to the website, it's just general information. But if I go to a competitor, it's like, hey, we cater towards people looking for family homes, great schools, great areas, etc. Generally, in your mind, you're going to go with the person that you feel like specializes to you. So you want to go through that exact same process on your site. You want these things to be very strategic and very planned out. And that's how you funnel them in. Once they go to that place, see that you cater to them, you have information for them, then that's when the process you want them either call you or fill out a contact form to get more information from you, etc. So this is information that I'm breaking down right now, and I can, if possible, if I have everyone's information, I can send you just this strategic information on how to do it so that you can look at what you're doing yourself. And it's kind of like a checklist. You can look at what I'm doing. Yes, I'm doing this. No, I'm not doing that. And it'll really give you a very clear understanding and visual of what you are and are not doing right or correct in your business. And it'll help you understand, like, these are things that I can do to better it. And these are going to bring me in more leads and more customers and clients. I know there's a mouthful of what I mentioned, so I kind of want to open it up right now to any questions anyone has or that may pop in your mind. All right, so no questions right now. I'll kind of move on to the next part, which is going to be expectations. It's a lot of things that I'm mentioning right now, and I know a lot of times, rather, any of the people that's on right now or anyone that's visiting this after the conference on YouTube, you'll kind of think to yourself, well, that's a heck of a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know where to begin. First off, I can send checklists, and you can go through that checklist, and it'll help you get an understanding of where you should begin and where you're at. But expectations, and we're going to talk about expectations in terms of money. So expectations in terms of money, short term and long term. Short term is, that sounds great. I need to be able to do this fairly quickly. I need to be able to see results decently quickly as well. There's specifics that you put in place for that. Long term versus short term. Short term is going to be something like, yeah, my website does need to be better. It needs to have more information. It needs to be better displayed, etc. If you don't have we'll say, going back to what Corey mentioned in time or money, things like that. If you don't have the finances, you probably have the time. Because if you don't have the finances, that means you're not getting enough, generating enough business and customers, so you can put the time in. I don't care if you have to go to a Squarespace or a Wix to get up what you need. You need something better, you need to be able to do it. Grab something like a template, fill in a blank, and get that going so you have something to visually present. And then really just going back to the checklist without repeating myself, look at the checklist of who your audience is and what you're doing currently at the moment, to be able to know exactly where you're at and what you can do to drive that traffic to your website. Now, from a long-term perspective, you're going to go into things such as like automation, what I said earlier with the contact form. They fill out a contact form, you receive the information. Depending on the business, they receive an automatic email, so it saves time from you, and you're generating business, and you're able to close on deals and gain customers quickly. And then, the Google ranking part, I'm just going to be very honest with you, that takes a lot of time, and it's a specialty. That's something that my company specializes in, but that should be something that you plan for and you actually have the finances to do once you go through the short-term things. Because that's one of those things to where you invest in, but rather it be time or rather be finances. You invest in, but you may not see the full benefits of it until 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. So that makes sense. It looked like a question popped up in the chat. If I want to work with apps, do you think a website will still be helpful to direct my sales my way? What do you mean by if you're wanting to work with apps? Are you saying have your own mobile app, or? You have your own mobile app? Okay. So, and make sure I'm answering this correctly. I think you're asking, I want a mobile app, but should I start with the website first? Is that what you're asking? Or should you go directly into the mobile app? Okay. So I do get this a lot. Mobile apps take a lot more maintenance and are a lot more difficult to build out and take longer to build out than websites. What I would suggest is that if you can generate sales and if you can get people to use a website to do what your mobile app will ultimately do, then I would go that route first. Now, what that means also is that if you have a mobile app idea, I'm pretty sure that you have like a really big picture in mind. I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, this, and this. You may have to scale that down some. You have your website do that for you. Prove that concept, generate income. I don't know what the mobile app is about, but whichever that is, make sure have the website do it for you, and then allow that to build up to your mobile app. Now, let's say, for instance, you say, well, I can get a mobile app started. You have the finances or you have the time, whatever it may be. That's great. Go ahead and go into the mobile app, but be very strategic throughout the process. Now, most of the time, a mobile app is going to take, it depends on what it is, but on average, I would say about 6 months, 4 to 6 months to complete a mobile app, depending on how complex it is. What I would say is during that period of time, no matter if it's 3 months or it's 6 months, work on creating your strategy for launch. What I mean by that is, as you're getting this thing built out and as it's being worked on, you already know as soon as we're ready to launch, actually before we're ready to launch, I have an email list built up. I already have interest from people. So now when this mobile app is released, you already have users and people on the mobile app, and it's generating, whether it be revenue for you or just being busy and people are using it. I hope that answered your question. Let me know if it did. How effective is it to use a mixture of social media platforms along with the website to generate revenue? Social media platforms is it's almost life these days for most industries. I won't say every one of them, but for most industries. The mixture of social media with the website, I think you have to look at them separate. Social media is what's going to be basically your funnel. What I mean by that is you're going to gain people's interest through social media with the content and the information that you're putting out. To generate revenue from that, that means they need to contact you. Now that you have, like on Facebook or Meta now, whatever they want to call it. Now with that, you can have people message you directly and you can generate that way. And they even have automation to it to where they ask questions, it can automatically pop up, or you can start speaking to them. But again, depending on the industry, what you have to do is you want to gain their interest through social media, drive that traffic to your website. But if it's specific information and specific audiences, you want to drive them to a specific page. That may not be the home page. That may be a landing page. What I mean by that is whatever industry you're in, and if it's a specific audience within an industry that you're trying to attract, drive them to that specific page, right? Yourwebsite.com / for this audience. That's what it would be. And you have information specifically for them, and whatever that call to action needs to be, a phone number to call you or a contact form. So I'll give you a specific example. Work with a client that did credit building. They help people get their credit right, both business and personal. Now, what they did was all the time, they went through on social media. They would put out a lot of content. They had a lot of interest. Everyone was like, hey, I want more information, blah, 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 blah. Now, they had two things. One, they had something that you can basically get and you can do, yourself. It was general, but it was enough, right? That's a lead magnet. That's a fun way to funnel them in. The other one was, look, you can pay us X amount and we'll handle these things for you. Two different audiences. There's going to be one person that's like, I don't have time to do this. I need to pay someone for it. There's another person who is going to be like, well, my credit is already shot. I don't have money right now. I want to see what I can do myself. Two different audiences, but you want both of them because one is immediate and ready to go. The other one you have to kind of work with a little bit, then they'll come on later on. They use social media. They catch their attention, the social media platform that they use. They drove that traffic to the website. The people that was interested and ready to go right now and I want to make a purchase for or more interested in that, they sent them to a page with specific information for them for that, had them fill out a contact form, been specific with a few things, and then they capture their information. They were able to hop on a phone call with them and then go through their internal process of basically closing on new client or new customer. So I'm hoping I'm answering this right for you. But when you're talking about the effectiveness of a mixture of social media and a website, that's a great place to start. Again, I know I've said this a lot of times, but it depends on the industry. But if you can use social media to generate attention, you want to take that attention and you want to put that attention to be to your website, which is going to turn those to visitors to leads.
No, I think you did a great job, Daniel, of communicating that to us. We even see that with big companies, right? Like how they
Yeah.
use social media to that effect. We see it with the Amazons of the world and Walmarts and everything. And we need to try to figure out how we can get that to trickle down to Black businesses as well.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Mhm.
Did anyone else have any questions for me that you have? You want to put it in the chat, or if you want to hop off of mute and ask? I think we got about 5 minutes left, Corey. Is it?
Yeah, we got about 4.5, give or take.
Okay. Okay. One of the things that I'll touch on, and I'll kind of go back to the chamber part with this, because this is the chamber conference. What I'm working on with Charles right now is, I'll go back. I don't know if some people got on late or not. We've built out a portal that's going to connect all of the chamber members. Not only being able to help you navigate and digitize for gaining more memberships, we're going to be helping all of the chambers get more members in your general in your local areas. We're also going to be providing information to chambers for your chamber members. So as we're doing right now, I'll be helping provide more information and content to help you understand how to navigate this digital space to be able to generate their businesses more revenue and more traffic. But the overall point of it all is going to be to bring the chambers together a lot more so that we can work together in a bigger way, and bringing that all together and making sure that, I mentioned earlier, bringing in a whole different, a whole other target, a whole other audience that's going to help every chamber grow around Texas. And so we're going to start that with TAC. Charles is on right now. I see him. I was just telling him about the portal, how we're going to be connecting them with everything and bringing all of the chamber members together.
You're
I think
on mute.
Yeah, we're really excited. Hey, Corey, thank you so much. Daniel,
No
man, we appreciate you so much, man. We really are looking forward to the innovation that ATX Design is bringing to our personal TAC website, but the opportunity to expand that across the entire footprint of TAC is just off the charts great. Daniel has a great firm, extremely responsive, again, technologically sound, cutting edge stuff. And we just know that it's going to be good for all of our member chambers to take advantage of the expertise that we have available to us through Daniel Griggs and ATX Design. So thank you so much, Daniel, for joining the call today. It's been a great conference so far, man. So I know this is just going to hype it up just a little bit more.
No, definitely. And I appreciate y'all having me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to just make sure if there's anybody else that had any questions with anything, and I don't know if y'all have access to this or not, but I'll put my I dropped my email in the that was a direct message. I'll drop my email in the chat, and if anyone has any questions, or if you want to have access to that checklist that I'm mentioning, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. I think it was Timothy asked me to check out the website for Amarillo, and you put that in the chat as well. And so I'll be checking that out, and I'll email you about that also.
Hey, Daniel.
Uh-huh.
Are you aware of the various membership databases that chambers might be using?
I'm aware of them. I haven't, of course, been able to dive into them, but yes, I am aware of them. That's one thing we want to. I don't know what everyone's process is, just all of the chambers across the board in Texas, but that's something we want to digitize as well.
We're using a firm called Wow Applecart. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of them. I've never used them before, or how many clients that used them before, but I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what other chambers are using. It's getting to be a little bit pricey.
Yeah. So that's one thing that we'll help with. I think uniforming as much as possible, uniforming these databases is going to be extremely important. There's some people, as you mentioned, that's using databases that are, it's getting pricey or difficult to maintain, whatever it may be. And there's probably a lot of other ones across the board, and there's some of them that's fine with what they have, but we want to uniform it as much as possible so that it's easy to be able to maintain these things. And then as it grows, that doesn't necessarily mean all the time that it's going to become extremely pricey for you.
That's great. I like to, I offer our website for you to take a look at. ccblackchamber.org. I'll put it in the chat area for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll have a look at it, and then I can connect with you as well, and give you some pointers and ideas about it.
Okay, guys, that's going to wrap this session up for us. I hope everyone benefited from this great information that was presented by Mr. Griggs. And you all have yourself a good afternoon.